She beats his subscriber numbers in just one day. And this is not surprising. Sharon is a woman. People are way more interested in paying to look at naked women than they are paying to look at naked men. But that doesn't...
What it is, guys? It's your boy BlastphamousHD, and one of my favorite shows of all time has, of course, been South Park. With that being said, one of my favorite episodes that I've only gotten to see like maybe 15, 16 minutes of is the episode that they did on YouTubers, influencers, Twitch streamers, pretty much anyone who's ever been any type of celebrity. You know what I'm saying? Hollywood, Denzel Washington, Leonardo DiCaprio, they all know what it do. I'm extremely interested to see what they said and how they said it, knowing in full that they probably just roasted the crap out of all of us. Let's do this.
Influencers cannot be trusted.
Sounds about
They're
right.
making you believe stupid stuff, buy stupid crap, and do stupid crap. If you follow everything...
Isn't this guy an influencer? Oh, he doesn't show his face. That makes a lot of sense.
they tell you, you might find yourself actively ruining your life. But millions of people do exactly that every single day. So, how do influencers manage to gain so much influence over us?
How did you get
South Park
influence?
covers tactics, the effects, and the possible solutions to this influence.
Are these the tactics he used to get subscribers and whatnot? More at 11. As he snitches on himself.
Or cancer in the special Not Suitable for Children. The first question, obviously, is how on earth have influencers managed to become so influential that they can start riots and prop up billion-dollar brands?
You would start a
No,
riot?
it's not the fame. People don't listen to these guys just because they're famous. It's actually the other way around. These guys became famous in the first place because a lot of people liked them and were listening to them.
Usually.
The fame is just a product of that likability.
Usually.
So, how do you get millions of people to like and trust you when you have zero talent? South Park has a
have zero
blueprint for
talent?
you. There is one simple
I think this guy's pretty talented. Shouldn't be so hard on himself.
trick that
Good Lord.
influencers use to constantly connect with millions.
Oh yeah,
All these
what's the trick?
stupid boomers, people over 40 don't know how hard it is for young people.
Yeah.
That's the trick. Relatability. If you can make millions of people look at you and think, that's literally me, you're halfway there.
Word.
Clyde's favorite influencer, Logan
Are y'all black?
LaDouche, is an expert at being relatable. He's rich and tall and jacked out of his mind. Pretty much the opposite of Clyde. A short, scrawny, bang-average kid who probably can't bench press a pillow. But Logan LaDouche
can't
talks about
bench
how
press a
he
pillow.
can't stand people
That
because he
sucks.
finds most of them stupid. He talks about how grown-ups don't understand him. Clyde also finds most people stupid too. His dad doesn't even understand him. His dad's girlfriend doesn't understand. Nobody really understands him. And that is relatable AF.
No, it's
Clyde
not.
finds himself loudly agreeing with everything Logan LaDouche says. That's how he becomes a fan. Being a fan of an influencer does have a massive downside though.
That's it? What is this
That
downside you
downside
speak
is a
of?
parasocial relationship. A parasocial relationship is just a fancy term for a one-sided friendship. Clyde thinks he's friends with Logan LaDouche because of all that relatability. In conversations, he refers to the guy as my influencer. But Clyde is not the only fan. There are thousands, probably millions of fans who thinks they're friends with Logan as well. In an era where most people don't have IRL friends, these parasocial
friends,
relationships tend to be even
Always
stronger
have
than they
friends.
could otherwise have been. The first thing Clyde does when he gets
Please go outside and talk to people. Go to a restaurant. Just saying hi to the nice people that take your money, man. It's good stuff.
home is turn on the computer and listen to Logan talk. The guy gives Clyde very unique advice. Stuff like, be yourself.
When I feel like I can't be myself, that's when I need a hydration drink that'll pick me up. That's when I need cred.
That's when they get you. Influencers use the parasocial relationship you have to sell you stuff. And because you already like influencers, corporations know that you're
Buy my mixtape. Also subscribe to the Only Toes on Facebook and Snapchat. Definitely feet pictures.
more likely to buy. This is where the problems start. This is the entire business model. Influencers sell their influence to the highest bidder, and whatever that highest bidder is selling isn't always good for you.
These crazy hydration drinks that say they're healthy, but are loaded with fake sugars and are not safe for children.
Now, it's obvious why influencers shill crap they would never buy themselves. Money. Fame is short-lived, and a lot of these guys know they're gonna fall off in 3 to 6 months. so they have to try to make as much money as possible during the short window of relevance that they have. But what about us fans? Why do we fall for it? It's not like we don't know they're getting paid to shill this crap. We know, but we still buy it anyways. Why?
You're an influencer. What are you talking about?
Most of us are too lazy to research anything that is recommended to us. Second, influencers and corporations like to use a combo of 3 incredibly ancient marketing tactics: exaggeration, misdirection, and plain old lying.
Cred is 100% sugar-free. Cred has electrolytes so you can ride your bike.
Drink Cred at your school today. Not intended for children.
Cred is a parody of Prime. Prime claims to only have 2 grams of sugar, which is supposed to make it healthy. What Prime fails to mention is that it uses dodgy artificial sweeteners, and it has almost triple the amount of caffeine that you would find in a can of Red Bull. These kinds of drinks also like to use fancy terms like electrolyte to confuse you. An electrolyte is just dissolved salt. If you have salt in a shaker, it's just salt. If you add some of that salt to a glass of water, that water is now an electrolyte. It's that simple. But they won't tell you that. They deliberately use the term electrolyte to make you think you're drinking super soldier serum. All this information is easy to find. You can read the ingredients list, or you can watch any one of the many exposes that have been made about Prime. The information is out there. So why do people ignore it and buy drinks like Prime anyway? The answer is psychological manipulation. That brings us to the dark side of influencer marketing, and pretty much most kinds of marketing, by the way. These marketing strategies focus on flipping 2 manipulation switches in the brain. To find the manipulation switch, we just have to check out the opening scene of Not Suitable for Children. We open with Cartman stuffing 2 bottles of Cred into his backpack and then holding a 3rd one in his hand. His mother thinks that's a little too much. Cartman disagrees.
Mom, a kid today is defined by their hydration drink. I have to have more Cred than anyone else.
And he does. Everybody else has 1 bottle of Cred, but Cartman has 3. He walks through the school hallways like a king, rapping about how he's got Cred. In the cafeteria, all the kids are drinking Cred with their lunch. Clyde is the only one who doesn't drink Cred because his parents won't buy it for him. But if he admits that, he would be considered a weirdo and get excluded. So he lies.
Hey, Clyde, where's your Cred? Oh, it's in my... I already drank it.
Clyde pretending that he has Cred just to be accepted is a perfect representation of the lengths we will go for social acceptance. Our need to belong is so strong that we will literally do anything. This thing is inescapable, by the way. We are a tribal species. We like forming little groups and hanging out together. These groups that we form develop certain characteristics to differentiate themselves from other groups. Kind of like how sports teams with their colors and chants and rivalries. Every group of people you can think of has a specific uniform. This can be an item of clothing, a language, an object, an activity, a certain attitude, or a combination of multiple different things.
Video games.
Bikers have their bikes and sleeveless leather jackets. Bankers have their suits, and Kardashians have their plastic surgeries. Even groups that define themselves with how they're different from everybody else still end up looking the same because they adopt a certain uniform. That's why you can easily pick a goth out of a crowd. Even groups like religions and political ideologies, which might contain millions of people who speak entirely different languages, still have uniforms. You can easily tell someone's political beliefs once you see the pronouns in the bio, or the MAGA hat, or the little crucifix on the necklace. Even people who don't wear these uniforms still hold a certain set of beliefs and attitudes that are consistent with other members of religious groups or political parties. They might not tell you, but the uniform is always there somewhere. A person who doesn't consider himself a member of any group is exceedingly rare, assuming he exists in the first place. We see the same dynamic at South Park Elementary. Thanks to the tireless work of influencers, Cred has become the prevailing uniform. This is inspired by the real-life situation in American and British schools where Prime has become the uniform. Now, selling a uniform to a group of people is obviously very profitable, but that's not enough. Because do you know what's better than making a lot of money? Making even more money. So how exactly do you make more money after you've sold your hydration drink, to every kid in every school in the entire country? Well, that's when you flip the second manipulation switch. For the second manipulation switch, we have to go back to Cartman. He's walking around through the school hallways feeling like the man because he has 3 bottles of Cred while everybody else only has 1. Until he runs into Spencer Hollis. Spencer has 6 bottles of Cred. Cartman can't stand it. He storms away in anger and declares war on Spencer.
That's a real Cred drinker. Unlike all the poser cred drinkers like Spencer Hollis.
This is a second manipulation switch. It's another human weakness, our desire for status. Once we have been accepted into a group, guess what? We now want to rise up in the ranks. Bankers try to outdo each other by adding more expensive suits, bikers go for faster bikes, and so on. This is what Cartman and Spencer Hollis are doing. Every kid has cred, so they flex by having more cred than everybody else. Cartman is not willing to accept that he has less cred than Spencer, so he tries to change the rules by labeling Spencer as a poser, and then labeling himself as a true cred fan.
He never even cared about cred. He just drinks it because some stupid influencer said it's cool now.
Cartman even starts the whole cred affinity group just to prove that he's cooler than Spencer. Cartman's little status games might look silly, but it's one of the more pathetic realities of our existence. Grown-ups are not immune to useless flexing either. They actually do it way more than kids. When you look at life, you realize that it involves a whole lot of status games. More often than not, we're all just trying to outflex each other. It's why the entire luxury industry exists. Grown-ups flex with cars and boats, and kids flex with toys and hydration drinks. Corporations encourage this because they're selling you all this stuff. They turn objects that have already been accepted as a part of the uniform into a status symbol.
Introducing new Mega Cred. It's super limited edition, only available to select few.
Cred deliberately creates artificial scarcity to maintain the desirability of its status symbols. They keep releasing new flavors, but only in limited quantities. Cred could easily produce 1 million bottles of a flavor like cherry bubblegum, but it won't. If it's too common, then it can't be a status symbol. This is the same thing Prime did. Humans inherently—
I haven't eaten one of them Popeye's chicken sandwiches since yesterday, and I'm starting to feel the effects of not having eaten it since yesterday. But yeah, it's the same thing, if I had millions of Popeye's chicken sandwiches, then I wouldn't want one all the time. I would eat one all the time, but I wouldn't want one all the time.
Value what is rare. Unsurprisingly, crafty businessmen use this weakness of ours to create fake scarcity so their products can look more valuable than they actually are. This is what cred does. It's what Prime does, and it's what the luxury industry has always done. It's very good business. If you make something rare, you can charge a lot of money for it. This also has the additional advantage of making the customers who are lucky enough to buy it a lot happier, because they can flex so much harder. But sometimes these tactics can go too far. After Clyde finally gets busted for having fake cred, the whole affinity group is discredited. They go from cool to whatever the opposite of cool is. It's a depressing time for all of them, until they find a way to redeem themselves.
My influencer said there's gonna be a big cred promotion at a CVS in Pueblo.
The all-new cred flavor, Mega Cred, is about to drop. Nobody else has tried it yet. The boys realize that if they get this new limited flavor, they'll be considered cool again. So they ditch school and take the bus to Pueblo, which is 200 miles away, by the way.
Damn.
Sadly for them, thousands of other kids have the same idea. Cred only has 50 cases of Mega Cred, nowhere near enough for all the kids who are hoping for one. The whole thing immediately turns into a stampede as everybody tries to get one, and Clyde nearly gets crushed to death.
Nearly?
For all their trouble, the boys end up with nothing. That's when Clyde realizes that his influencer played him.
He knew there wasn't gonna be enough cred for everyone. It's like they wanted to create this false scarcity. Give all us kids FOMO.
The boys go looking for Clyde's influencer. Clyde, Cartman, and Tweak want an explanation, but Butters has been completely brainwashed by the marketing tricks. He just wants cred at this point. While the kids are doing this, other problems are happening around them. The subplot of Not Suitable for Children deals with another serious problem that influencers have created for us: the social media to spicy content pipeline. It all starts with a story that has become far too common in news headlines these days. A teacher at South Park Elementary has started a side hustle as an OF performer. Parents are reasonably outraged. There's a lot of shouting and screaming until the vice principal mentions this.
She makes an extra $10,000 a week.
Did she say $10,000 a week?
The lights go on in Randy's head, and just like that, Randy starts an OF. But it's not as easy as he thought. He can't find subscribers. He gets into arguments with his wife, and she starts her own OF out of spite. She beats his subscriber numbers in just one day. And this is not surprising. Sharon is a woman. People are way more interested in paying to look at naked women than they are paying to look at naked men. But that doesn't mean every woman is successful at this. Most fail miserably. The average OF creator makes $180 a month. But you have—
You got me on that one. That was good. I identify as super straight, for anybody who's wondering. That's like my pronoun. I think I don't I don't know how that stuff works, but you know.
You have to be aware of averages. They can be very deceiving. If one person makes $1 million a month and 9 others make nothing, the average earnings for that group of 10 is $100,000. So looking at averages will give you the wrong idea of what's going on. You might be thinking that everyone is making $100K, but in reality, the top 1% are making all the money and the rest are making nothing. Randy is in the nothing category. Nevertheless, he is determined to find fans by any means necessary. That's when he discovers trend jacking.
See, what a lot of influencers will do is they talk about things and show things in their videos that are trending. Then you can hashtag that, and the search engines will think your content is trending.
Once you
Man, South Park sure is trendy.
incorporate a trending topic, social media algorithms index your videos and start recommending them to people who are already invested in that topic. It's the easiest way to get views online. And Randy finds a monster trending topic: cred. He starts incorporating cred into his videos and his views just explode. This move is once again inspired by a lot of IRL influencers. There's a certain girl who has gained millions of followers, and God only knows how many OF subscribers by doing exactly this. I won't mention her name, because she's been sending her material to 14-year-olds and all that other criminal stuff.
Not all of them.
All she does is trend jacking, putting on a Spider-Man costume and jumping on viral TikTok trends just to shake her smelly butt. She only uses TikTok and Instagram to funnel kids and thirsty men to her OF accounts. She is the most notorious one right now, but she's not the only one. This is the kind of thing that we all can agree is despicable, I hope. But these influencers would never admit this. They always have a plausible defense.
Children aren't allowed on OnlyFans, Sharon. It's totally safe.
But we all know that's bullshit. Everybody I know started watching pizza delivery movies as a kid. I started at 13, and I know a bunch of guys who have started when they were even younger. A friend at school told me which website to visit, and that's all I needed. Once I got started, I discovered all the other sites by myself. And a paywall is not a serious obstacle either. Any kid can steal mommy's credit card and sign up for anything. You've probably done it. I definitely have.
No.
And you may not have even got caught because most people don't check each line item on their credit card bill as long as the total looks normal. I used to buy stuff on Amazon with my mom's credit card and she didn't notice for like nearly a year.
I never did
And then I
that.
got stupid, bought too much stuff, and she noticed that her bill was way higher than usual. If I had stuck to $10 to $20 charges, I probably would have never been caught. That's how easy it is for kids to get access to this stuff. And that is without getting into a lot of how these influencers deliberately target kids by using social media apps as a funnel. If you're doing your stuff on the hub or some hardcore site somewhere, sure, you can argue that you're not targeting kids. But when you're actively promoting yourself on Instagram and TikTok, you can't honestly make that argument. These apps are full of kids. You know what you're doing. So, whose duty is it to protect these kids from these predatory influencer tactics? Well, we could ask influencers to stop being trash. That's not gonna happen. Okay, influencers will never stop exploiting their fans for money. What options do we have left? Parents?
We can't control what our kids drink or what they watch. They're your kids.
Yep, parents aren't psyched up about protecting their kids' internet activity. There are a few reasons for this. Now, obviously, some parents are just lazy. They just want to outsource the job of actually raising their kids to somebody else, usually teachers or the government. These types can always do better. But the second and much bigger problem is that there are things parents simply can't control. Parents do their best and still lose kids to these predatory tactics. Clyde's parents are a good example. They refuse to buy him cred because they know it's not good for him. He hates them for that, and then does everything in his power to get it because of the immense social pressure from everybody else at school. When Clyde gets exposed for putting apple juice in a cred bottle, he ditches school to go to Pueblo with Cartman, Butters, and Tweak so they can get some real cred. They didn't get any. Instead, they nearly get trampled
Look, say what you will, all right? He's got all the good South Park clips.
to death, and their parents have no idea. There is no way for a parent to predict or control such sneaky, rebellious behavior, but the kids have been manipulated out of their minds, so you can't really blame them. They're 10-year-old kids. I believed a lot of nonsense at that age, and you probably did as well. Kids tend to believe everything
I used to believe I could turn into a werewolf when I was 10. Like,
they're told at face value when their brains are that young. Skepticism is something that only comes with age. So, if parents can't protect kids, who can? What about corporations? Well, those are actually the enemy.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of companies that want to pay you to show your videos to not kids.
Corporations are at the very top of the list of entities that want to influence kids by any means necessary. Influencers may do all the talking, but they're just rented mouths. The actual words are coming from somewhere on Wall Street.
Just keep making your stupid videos, they'll tell you what to say.
Corporations target kids because it works. Get them young and they'll be customers for life. Some things can be fairly innocent. Take me, for example. I have been using the same brand of detergent my whole life because an ad I watched over the course of several years when I was a kid told me that it was the best detergent in the world. I tried other detergents, and even though they look like they do a good job, it just doesn't feel like that. So I always go back to that one detergent. And I'm willing to bet my last dollar that you've probably had a product like that in your life as well. I know it's silly and irrational, but the corporate propaganda for that detergent has me on lock. I can't help it. I just have to use it or my clothes just won't feel clean when they look clean. This detergent is a fairly innocent purchase. It's not gonna kill me. But alcohol companies, cigarette companies, vape companies, and whatever the hell Zyn is, are using the exact same tactics. Advertise to the kids and you can sell them forever. Who else can we possibly turn to? The government? Not trustworthy either.
100 from the Chinese government.
First, the government has propaganda it wants you to believe, and it also wants you to disclose your cash income on your tax returns so they can take it and bomb a school in Afghanistan or whichever country happens to be the enemy of the month. When the government is well-intentioned, it never intervenes unless something goes horribly wrong. It's very good at reacting to bad things after the fact, but it sucks at preventing them. The government can arrest your murderer and throw him in jail after you're dead, but it can't do much to stop the murderer from killing you in the first place. That's on you. In Not Suitable for Children, Randy is only arrested after minors start doctoring pictures of minors.
Isn't that the way it's supposed to be? Unless there's that one Tom Cruise movie, Born Identification or something, I don't know.
Because they were inspired by Randy. But even then, he still gets released because he cooperates with the FBI. In our world, an influencer would never be arrested for recommending garbage products or funneling children to a platform hosting explicit content, because you can't really make any charges that would stick under our existing laws. So, what options do we have left? Sadly, we have to take matters into our own hands, just like the boys.
I know what town my influencer lives in. I want some goddamn answers.
The boys track down Clyde's influencer, Logan LaDouche, and question him on why he manipulated them all like that. We know why.
I'm just this tiny little piece of a very big lie. You guys are all being manipulated.
Logan is just a hired mouthpiece. Somebody else is pulling the strings. But just as he's about to reveal the puppet master, he gets JFK'd. But we all know the puppet masters of influencers. Corporations, governments, and pretty much everybody else with a message to send and money to pay. The boys leave Logan LaDouche's motel room without any of these answers. And that's when they run into Randy. He's been scared straight and he is dumping all his cred. He finally tells them what we already know.
You have to know that someone is always trying to get to you.
The methods might change, but the intention will always be the same. In the 1900s, they used school textbooks, newspapers, and TVs. Today in the 2020s, they're using online influencers because nobody reads newspapers anymore. There will always be someone selling you something. Corporations will try to sell you products, and organizations like governments, political parties, and religions will try to sell you their ideas. Influencers are just hired mouthpieces of these entities. You can't just accept whatever they say or recommend to you. You have to critically examine it before making a decision because there are groups that will always try to influence you. And this is the message Randy gives to the boys. They're eager to announce it to everybody at school.
We have news that you will all find shocking. You see, we talked to Mr. Marsh, and he gave us 4 bottles of Jelly Roll Midnight Waffle House.
Oops. The kids never learn the lesson. They know they're being played, but they just don't care as long as they get some cool points at school.
Who's together?
The principal, the vice principal.
Is he pooping?
They can't be together, they're co-workers.
And just like that, South Park
okay.
plunges
There's a
us
woman.
straight into
Never
the
mind.
turbulent waters of workplace romance. Imagine a world where 2 people being together is a disaster because they share the same LinkedIn address. Only South Park could take something as unremarkable as 2 colleagues falling in love and turn it into a societal crisis. But here's the twist. South Park isn't just mocking school administrators with wandering eyes, they're mocking society's view of them. Episodes like Super Hard PC-ness and Splatty Tomato dig into the heart of society's uncomfortable relationship with, well, relationships at work. Even posts the hashtag #MeToo movement. So, Why do we react to these office romances like we're preying on our stepsister that is stuck in the washing machine? And what makes the workplace the one place we collectively agree love should fear to tread? Do Matt and Trey have the answer? Well, let's find out. At the start of super hard PC-ness, we are first introduced to Strong Woman. After there's been a lot of insensitivity and bullying going on at school, PC Principal has found the solution.
It is my firm belief that South Park Elementary is in desperate need of a strong woman.
He then starts describing her as
powerful, intelligent, and independent female to be a role model for us all.
Which would already be classified
That's a side chick.
as sexual harassment in the workplace in modern days. After the introduction, Strong Woman takes the stage.
All right, everyone, listen up. I'm the new vice principal of the school.
Meanwhile, Butters is whispering something to Clyde, which causes PC Principal to interfere.
Hey, Stutch! You do not disrespect Strong Woman by talking when she's talking!
Much to the annoyance of Strong Woman, who I kinda expected to be completely humorless. She instead is actually pretty cool.
You really think I couldn't have handled that myself?
This goes back and forth for a little bit where PC Principal is trying to stand up for Strong Woman, but she doesn't like it. She can stand up for herself. It's a great example of how thin the line between chivalry and chauvinism has become. It's only at the faculty meeting where things really take a turn.
Word?
PC Principal introduces Strong Woman to the kids and the teachers.
So with that, let me turn over the floor to our new vice principal, Strong Woman.
As Strong Woman delivers her speech, PC Principal tries to stay professional, but he can't. She's just talking about how she was
Observing in the cafeteria and was pretty shocked by the abusive and intolerant language.
Then something about updating gym uniforms. Meanwhile, Hootie and the Blowfish's Hold My Hand starts playing in the PC Principal's head. I can't play it due to copyright, but believe me, PC Principal is gone. As Strong Woman continues to outline her goals for creating a safer, more inclusive environment, PC Principal's mind is doing something entirely different. The school cafeteria fades away, and suddenly he's in a world of pink hearts, flowers, and drifting clouds. It's like one of those corny music videos from the 90s, except instead of some sort of pop star, it's the school principal who's head over heels in love with his new coworker. For someone who's supposed to be the ultimate voice of restraint and self-control, he's really having a hard time holding it together. This is where South Park starts attacking our views on workplace relationships. On paper, PC Principal and Strong Woman should be a perfect platonic pair, united in their commitment to political correctness and safe spaces. But as per #MeToo rules, PC Principal shouldn't even look at Strong Woman. But he looks, and he feels things that would definitely get him canceled. Society feels that too, but they can't help it. Attraction to a coworker is something all of us have probably experienced at some point. I know I have. Twice. It might have been frowned upon, but there were no policies against it. There's just something irresistible about dating coworkers. But what is that? This won't come off as a surprise, but the most obvious reason is you spend a lot of time together. There's also a lot of different studies on this, so I'll just put some graphs up for you here. Each of these graphs is slightly different to one another, but they do make it clear that between the ages of 21 and 35, you probably spend more time per year with a coworker than with friends, family, or anyone you're romantically involved with. Then psychologists get involved, claiming the more you see someone, the more familiar you get with them, and the more likely you are to be attracted to them. Who knew? You're also more likely to have shared interests with coworkers. Combine that with tackling problems together at work and bonding over mutual hate for Greg from HR, and you literally have to start fighting those feelings. So it's not really surprising that those relationships start happening. Researchers claim between 10 to 22% of relationships start at the workplace. It's even in the top 3 places couples actually find each other, only to be beaten by online dating and meeting someone through friends. If online dating isn't working and you don't have that many friends, or you don't see many of your friends because you're working, guess what you have left? So, how do you deal with these feelings? Well, you can run away from your feelings like PC Principal.
Hey, excuse me, everyone. I need to get to the restroom. Sorry, I'll be right back.
So, PC Principal rushes to the doctor's office, practically begging for a diagnosis that could explain why his moral compass is suddenly spinning out of control.
I'm having this problem with my ears. There's like a persistent kind of ringing going on.
The doctor leans in with his otoscope, and as he peers into PC Principal's ears, he expects to find something, anything that could explain his symptoms.
Okay, can you describe the ringing?
Almost too embarrassed, he admits,
It's Hootie and the Blowfish.
Like he's confessing a crime. But luckily, PC Principal knows where this is coming from.
Yeah, there's a new woman that has joined our faculty, and she seems to have set up some kind of device in my ears.
But the doctor already knows what's going on.
So maybe you're having some feelings for her.
But that's not an option. As they work in the same place, it would be impossible for someone as politically correct as PC Principal to like a coworker, especially a subordinate. The doctor concludes there's no Hootie and the Blowfish in his ears. That leaves only one place for them to play.
I believe you're hearing them in your mind and your heart.
Oh, dude. Bro.
Now, running away from those feelings might not be the best option, so what can you actually do?
Work out.
You consult Reddit, where the best advice seems to rub one out and let post-nut clarity clear your mind like Buddha. Namaste. But that doesn't work for girls, though. And because of the taboo surrounding it, all internet white knights tell you to brush it off and move on with life as a workplace romance never lasts. Which is stupid. As surveys in the past pointed out that approximately 36% of people have dated a coworker in their lifetime.
Women do have a cure for that type of thing. They call them black guys.
They're either still butthurt over breaking up, got married, or they know something we don't know. Life's way too short to listen to strangers' advice on the internet anyways. You can always consult another coworker first, like PC Principal does.
Oh.
PC Principal heads over to Mr. Mackey with a lame excuse about how he thinks the kids at school are liking their new vice principal. But that's not the real reason why he's here.
Do you know if Strong Woman has a boyfriend?
It completely catches Mr. Mackey off guard. Panicking, PC Principal tries to explain himself. He's only asking if Strong Woman is taken so he can stop thinking about her.
No.
He's sure that if she's already off the market, he can just flip a switch and focus back on school policies and social justice. But Mackey's not buying it.
This is bad.
And the only one solution he can think of is to call HR. But not the HR PC Principal is hoping for.
HR? Is that like Hootie removal?
Usually when HR gets involved, it's for a good reason. I once cracked jokes that were so funny I got HR called to tell them again. They're called humor resources for a reason. Unfortunately, HR apparently gatekeeps humor as well. I was told not to joke about any sensitive subjects again to avoid losing my job. It really explains why HR usually is the most hated department in a company. In fact, if everything goes well, companies don't even need an HR department. Don't believe me? There's a $1 billion company out there called Octopus Energy with over 1,600 employees. They don't have an HR department. Surely they would get rated terribly as an employer, right? Well, they score a 4.4 rating out of 5 on Glassdoor.
Oh.
Does that mean we're generally better off without HR though? Not really. There's two big reasons for HR to exist. The most prominent one is to protect the company as much as possible, like making sure everything goes smoothly with salaries, benefits, preventing lawsuits, and firing people that are troublesome to the company. Which might not be what it sounds like.
Enemy spotted.
Let's have a look at the story of Uber. There was this manager who overstepped boundaries with a lot of his female subordinates he got in contact with. When reported to HR would tell the victims it was the manager's first offense and that they wouldn't feel comfortable giving him anything other than a warning and a stern talking to. You can already guess, it wasn't his first offense. But he was a high performer for the company. And as HR makes decisions based on what is best for the interest of the company, they decided indirectly punishing the whistleblower was the best course of action. The victim could either go and find another team and then never have to interact with the manager again, or stay on the same team and most likely receive a poor performance review when review time comes around. Just remember, HR is almost never on your side. They're on the company's side. They might seem like a lovable aunt you can trust and confide in, but they're absolutely not. Let's also look at what could happen if you don't have an HR department. Like, what do you do if the CEO says she wants you and asks about how to make you climax? Or if the CEO summons you to a meeting while she is using the toilet. Perhaps you get turned on if you're into that, but you're most likely to run to HR. Maybe both. In this case, over 1/3 of the company quit before the CEO stepped down. Something HR might have been able to solve a bit sooner. But what is the other thing we need HR for? Well, useless bureaucracy-related stuff. Where do you place someone who has no talent? HR. Who needs to enforce nitpicky rules and outdated policies? HR. Who has to kill people's careers? HR. Useless team-building activities? HR. What about hiring new people for a position? Would it be helpful to let the person managing that position decide who's the right fit because they understand what the company needs for that position and to be the one working with them? That doesn't sound logical, does it? No. Let's have HR hire a person that they have little knowledge of what the position actually involves. Just like Mr. Mackey, who brings in an HR expert to deal with their problem. Another faculty meeting is held at the elementary school, preceded by a quick introduction by PC Principal.
As you know, we want to provide a safe work environment for all our employees.
The Human Resources Division is introduced.
So, please welcome Heather Conduct. Go ahead, Miss Conduct.
Matt and Trey really outdid themselves on her name. Now, Miss Conduct has some conversations with the staff, and as an introduction to the topic of inappropriate feelings, she asks for a show of hands if anyone has ever been found guilty of developing them. Much to the surprise of PC Principal, Strong Woman is the only one that raises her hand. Next up, Miss Conduct starts a role-playing exercise that only makes things worse than they already were.
Now, did you have a nice night?
Yeah, it was good.
It starts off innocently, but soon turns into a full-on coffee date in front of the rest of the staff.
I like hiking around, being around in nature.
No, I agree. The city's bad. I love hiking too.
At this point, it's not just PC Principal who can't control his feelings in the workplace. The faculty is turning into one big #MeToo scandal in the making. So, should your boss or your workplace have something to say in your romantic life? Well, let's think about it. The average person changes jobs 12 times in their lifetime, meaning they spend an average of 4.3 years with each individual employer. Now, is it worth waiting 4.3 years to ask out your coworker or completely missing out on the love of your life? You can decide that for yourself. Just know companies go to great lengths to prevent you from having them. Take McDonald's, for example. In 2019, they fired their CEO over having a consensual relationship with an employee. They did this because a policy said no manager was to have a relationship with a subordinate, and that policy was carefully put in place. But why? Well, as soon as one employee has the power to fire the other, the whole power dynamic argument comes into play. It's very hard to say no to your boss when they want to date you. Even if they don't threaten you, they still have the power to either fire you or make your work life very difficult. So it's hard to know if the relationship was driven by true desire or if someone is abusing their power to get laid. Even if both parties stated the relationship was consensual, there is still a significant number of people who will insist that the superior abuse their position of power to get laid. It's safer for McDonald's public image to prevent bosses dating their juniors, as it undermines morale by creating an appearance of favoritism and reducing the perceived level of professionalism around the workplace. But McDonald's isn't the only one to change their policies. The same goes for Airbnb, Facebook, and other big names. This fits in with the growing trend of employers controlling more than just your love life. More and more workplaces are demanding that you are available as and when required. Take British supermarket chain ASDA, for example. In 2019, they were enforcing new contracts that roster you at any time of the day or night in any role. Similarly, in the care sector, rostering is done for the convenience of a roster manager. You may not know where and when you are required to work less than a week, sometimes just a day, before your shift. If you didn't sign the new contract, you were let go. This is a company that claims we keep it pretty informal, down-to-earth, and accessible on their hiring website. Doesn't seem that down-to-earth to me. It's an example of the effect employers take on controlling your capacity to have relationships with other people. Your children, your partner, your parents, your friends, all have to come second to the work culture or policies of your workplace. You are unable to plan your life, your relationships, your time with family and friends because you are at the beck and call of work. Too many employers not only feel they can choose whom you have a relationship with, but also whether you have a relationship with anybody. Either their policies require or your career advancement depends on constant availability. In effect, you are forced to choose whether to maintain a job, build a career, or nurture relationships with those important to you. But why do they do this? Well, it could be due to capitalism. The more control they have over employees, the better they can control all company funds. We're still in a post-sexual revolution world where we can't seem to agree on anything. Since #MeToo, workplace dating has turned into an old tradition into an endless minefield of constantly shifting rules. Everybody has a different idea of what sexual ethics everybody else should follow, and it creates a lot of uncertainty. You could visualize it like the whole flirting versus sexual harassment confusion. If someone likes you, it's flirting. If someone doesn't, it's harassment. Anyhow, companies are scared of PR risks, so they minimize their exposure to lawsuits by either banning office romances outright or regulating them as tightly as possible. Meanwhile, in South Park, the HR date is interrupted by an alarm. But then, the principal and the vice principal have to make sure everybody in the school is safe, so they go make sure all the classes are empty. They stumble upon a door, which PC Principal would like to open, but can't because of gender-based biases this could imply. It is then they both reach for the doorknob. Which brings us to the next episode, Splatty Tomato. Here, the politically correct lovebirds continue their love story, but this time, it's no longer just the school interfering with their romance, it's society. When a parent, Bob White, comes into the principal's office to complain about how the school is pushing political views on his children, he is assured by Strong Woman that the school is doing nothing wrong.
Mr. White, we assure you that we run the school in a very professional manner and don't let personal emotions get in the way.
PC Principal and Strong Woman try hiding their growing feelings from everybody, but they are terrible at it. When they go out to lunch, they bring Butters along to make it look like it's work-related.
We can't keep doing this. People are gonna see through it.
Why are
Is it my
they?
fault that I found the most amazing, perfect, beautiful woman at work?
This is a commentary on the general consensus about workplace romance among the PC crowd. As Strong Woman further states,
Nobody will understand.
which is true in South Park. An unrelated subplot of this episode involves a whole town scouring in the woods in an attempt to find Mr. Garrison, who's hiding there. While searching for Mr. Garrison, Randy finds Strong Woman and PC Principal in a tent, naked, and doing the thing.
Principal and vice principal are like together.
Mother eyes, man.
But that can't be happening. Co-workers can't be in love.
Wait, you mean he's actually her superior and they were in their...
I gotta see this.
So what is
episode.
society's problem with workplace romance? Well, there wasn't much of a problem with workplace romance in the past if we looked at company policies. It was always slightly frowned upon, but in general, people were pretty relaxed about it. That was until the Me Too movement, where the definition of sexual harassment and assault got stretched further and further until dating or even hitting on coworkers became practically illegal under #MeToo rules. Dating coworkers is not the villain of South Park's story. It's how stupid and overblown all the rules around it have become, because of society. Corporations are just responding to the prevailing social attitudes towards office romances, and as those social norms changed, so did the policies. Once PC Principal and Strong Woman were found out, everybody starts vomiting, which is a commentary on the sheer insanity of it. Now, South Park doesn't actually pick a side on the dilemma of dating coworkers. They just love to mock society. Boring, right? How can we ever know how to handle workplace relationships without South Park telling us what to do? Well, we can just use common sense. I'll give you some principles to remember.
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. That's all you need to know.
First, consider the office crush fantasy versus reality. It's easy to see why the idea is tempting. Long hours, shared projects, and the fantasy of making love on your boss's desk can create the perfect storm. But this isn't some workplace rom-com. If things go south, there is no fade to black. Just a lot of awkward eye contact over stale coffee. Being around the same people day in and day out can stir up a lot of feelings, some of them romantic. The office is prime real estate for crushes to thrive, but what's good for your social life might not be great for your professional one. Every office relationship runs on its own version of the dual relationship principle. And no, that's not the therapist thing, though sometimes it might feel like it. Think about it. Dating your teammate means asking yourself, whose interest comes first? Mixing personal and professional can turn messy fast. You're not just risking a broken heart, you're risking office reputation, team morale, and possibly your job. If you're moving ahead, check company policies. Some workplaces have strict no dating rules, and others, well, they might just have some guidelines. Either way, ignoring the rules is your ticket to HR's watch list. If it's against the rules, just make sure you are a top performer to avoid any punishment. And whatever you do, don't date the boss or the teammate you're managing. The power dynamics are a mess, the risks are through the roof, and let's be real, everyone on the team will notice. It's hard enough reviewing your colleague's project without them holding a coffee cup with the lipstick mark you all know too well. Work and love don't have to mix 24/7. Set boundaries so that your shared projects don't turn into a second date, or worse, a couple's therapy session. And keep the PDA out of the office. Flirting in the break room might seem harmless, but all your coworkers feel is cringe. And finally, if things go south, stay professional. Not every romance is built to last, but for the sake of your career and the team, keep the drama to a minimum. No one needs to be caught in the crossfire.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to comment, like, and don't subscribe. It's your boy BlastphamousHD. Twisms.